I hate this crossover.
What? OP, but the crossover ain't came out yet.
Listen to me. I hate it. So here I was, and I was thinking about making, like, who is the strongest in Jobless Reincarnation. Like I always do. I always, like, release them before the crossover comes out, or I wait till the very end for the crossover to completely go before I actually talk about them. But I did some pretty solid research on these units in terms of looking up their animations, looking at other videos of them, and kind of just seeing, like, you know, how strong are they on an individual level. And let me just tell you, I hate it. I hate every single one of these units. And I think the reason why I don't like them is because there's not a definitive answer to who is the strongest from this crossover. Like, technically there is, but just because that answer is what it is, it doesn't mean that the other units are bad. Like, each one of these units have, to an extent, a negative. Especially this girl. My god, dude. I really want to say this is like the very first crossover I feel like in GS where all these units are good, but they all kind of have some baggage with them. Like, for example, with Shaman King, I feel like the only unit with like baggage to an extent was maybe Anna, because Anna wanted to be on the Earth team and everyone else could just be like wherever they wanted to. Like, Yo, yeah, he wanted to be on a fire team, of course. He wanted the Archgen, he wanted the attack up, he wanted all that type of stuff, right? But you didn't have to be on a fire team. The same thing with Hal. Hal maybe would prefer a fire team over other teams, but he didn't have to be on a fire team, because most of the time I was using him with Juno and everyone else. And Tao Ren's just Tao Ren. He's just gonna blow stuff up. Let me show you guys what I mean before we get any further in this video, because I'm gonna tell you guys my list. But I'm going to say I already don't like this crossover. It's not because these units have weaknesses. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I've seen this like too many times in the past like few months, and I'm getting sick of it. Let's start with the first two units that will be coming out to the game, which is Rudius and Roxy. I'm assuming you guys already know what these guys do, so I'm going to instantly go into my opinions about them. Roxy, let's talk about her first. On paper, looks really solid, right? Looks like a really solid water nuker. But let me show you a big flaw that is a very, very big thing for nukers in the game. If you're a nuker, you're meant to blow stuff up. Not only are you meant to blow stuff up, you're meant to do it quick, like very fast. Like, look at Saitama. Saitama is able to nuke stuff in like sub 2 seconds sometimes, right? But you don't see people like Malim doing that, like newish Malim, and you're like, why? And it's because both her and Roxy and Hal all have a very similar thing that they've been doing for a very long time. I think this started with like Yusuke, whenever they started releasing like nukers and stuff like that. And it's this right here. If you look at Roxy's animation, look at this True Art animation, right? Look at when it first hits. See how long that was? That's like a 5 or 6 second True Art. And because of that, she suffers from what everyone else suffers from, which is slow True Art speeds. And I think that Roxy does have a little bit more of a redeeming factor because she does have that 50% arts damage up on her art. But let me just say too that you could use someone else in her spot. Like, there's no reason to use Roxy on a team. Like, you could get that 50% true arts damage or 50% arts damage up by other means, like for example Rag's Gym. So I really feel like that she's meant to be like the main nuker, but if you care about timing and care about getting on the leaderboards, you're not going to be using Roxy. If you don't care about that, then you of course can be using her, and she probably will hit pretty hard. But man, dude, that has to be one of the longest animations I ever seen. Next, let's talk about Rudius, right? Rudius, my mans. He's probably the most complete unit from this crossover. He's pretty strong, of course. Has arts damage up on his true art. If you have more than one earth unit on the team, of course, he's going to be buffing that up by more than 30%, all the way up to a max of 120%. And overall has some really good stuff, has some pretty good slots, and he's looking really solid, right? The thing about Rudius is like, Rudius is actually, yeah, the most complete unit from this crossover. If you actually look at his animations, he can nuke if you want him to, because look at this true art. It's already done. Like, it's so fast. Rudy is still really strong, very solid. Not only can he be just a nuker, he can also be an attacker, because his entire kit is more of a sub-attacker than it is of a nuker. They just decided to give him like a 60,000% modifier because, I guess they just... I shouldn't have said what I was about to say. You know what? Fuck it. They just like this little boy for some reason. And I think that Rudius is actually going to be a staple on Earth teams actually going forward. I don't see a team that wouldn't use them. If you had them, you're absolutely going to be slotting them into your teams. And yeah, there's nothing else to really say about him. I think he's probably one of the best units from the crossover. Now for the next two units that will be coming out, which is Eris and Sylph. Now, let's talk about Eris. Eris, I think, is a really cool unit. Some people say she's trash. I don't think she's trash. I actually think that she's pretty good. The thing about Eris I don't like is that her true art buff, which is the 100% crit rate, doesn't have a duration tied to it. I think that if this thing had like a 15-second, 20-second duration, I would like this unit a lot more. Her art animation is somewhat long at about like, I think like 5.5 seconds or something like that whenever I counted it, as you can see from right here. It's not like the longest art animation, but you know, it's still pretty lengthy. The true art animation is pretty quick though, I will say. It's actually insanely fast. The main problem with this unit is that she's just doing damage. And if you're not looking for a damage dealer, you're not going to be using Eris. And last but not least, the unit that I am so just in the middle about is Sylph. Let's tell you a story about Sylph. So Sylph is quote unquote the second coming of a Serpa. And I can see that. Definitely, but I actually think that she's weaker than a Serpa. Let me explain. They're actually very similar in terms of neither one of them doing damage. As you can see with her stats, like she's not dealing damage. Her slots are okay. Her overall kit is actually a really good defensive kit, let me say. Able to heal everybody's HP by 30%, very good. Also able to increase everybody's arts by 25, also very good. Increasing all allies stats resist by 100%, everything's good, but one thing's a problem here. Where's my cleanse? I guess they didn't want to power creep Rimuru too much, because Rimuru is another unit that has this exact same art to an extent, except I think he has percentage heal. I think it's 25% heal, and he also gives everybody a cleanse, and he increases everybody's stats resistance by 100%, but he doesn't have no arts on it. And you may be like, but OP, why is that a problem, right? Why is that a problem? Well, let's say like you're doing a fight, okay? And let's just say that status res goes down for like a second, and you see it and you're like, oh god, I gotta put it back up. And then all of a sudden, let's say like you're doing, I don't know, like a really hard fight, so you're using Thetis. Your Thetis gets cursed. How are you going to remove it? Unless you're using Keratos in the 5-star heal, but I don't know. I feel like they should have gave this girl more of a cleanse, and I would have liked her a lot more. But because she just has the increased stats resistance by 100%, I personally don't like it. And I'm probably going to get hate for that, and I really don't care. I don't like this art at all. And the next is her true art, which this one also bugs me. The true art is 12,000%. It's whatever. Cure allies poison. A poison cleanse. On a true art, a poison cleanse on a true art, not an art, a true art. And then for 20 seconds, you increase allies damage resist and magic resist by 20%. Really strong against any magic damage fight, let me say. Very, very potent. But I don't like this true art at all. Like the cure allies poison part of it, I don't like it. Like, I feel like this unit is so all over the place. Like, I didn't really know what they wanted to do with her, so they kind of just gave her a little bit of everything. And because of that, I just think this unit's a mess. Like, honestly, like, oh my god, I just want to pull my hair out. She's not bad. It's just, my god, dude, this unit is actually a mess. Like, if GS's development cycle was a unit, it would be Sylph. And finally, let's get into my closing thoughts, because I'm tired of talking about these units. How would I rank these, right? From least to greatest. Let me just say, whenever I go to rank these units, it doesn't mean that they are bad if I rank one lower than the other. It's just who I think is actually the worst from the crossover. But like, I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, they're actually bad. Because the person I'm going to be putting at the very bottom, in my opinion, is going to be Eris. And the reason why I'm putting Eris at the bottom is because she has no team play at all in her, and she's just an attacker. If you're not going to be looking for an attacker, then you're not going to be using Eris, unfortunately. I do think that she's a very solid attacker. I think at least, like, if we were going to do tier list stuff, and I don't really like tier list too much, but I would say she's probably hovering around like A tier, maybe like A plus possibly. If you give her like the right amount of support and everything, I think that you're going to see a lot of damage from her. And whenever the mines comes back, I actually do want to try her out and see if I can like make her work and see how hard I can actually get her to hit in the mines and everything where they come back. And hopefully I do actually wind up getting her so I can test this stuff out. For number 3, we're going to be putting Roxy, just because she has a little bit more team play in her. You know, she's able to apply pretty solid like debuffs and everything with the water and magic resist as well, and then also with the art being able to buff up everybody's true art damage. However, I do think that if you're using other units, and let's say you already have a pretty solid nuking lineup for mono water, or you already have just a really solid mono water team, you're probably not going to be looking at Roxy for like actual damage or anything. You're probably just going to push her to the side, because I do think that there are units that are better than her. Number 2, I'm going to be putting Sylph. And let me just say that if you're a new player and you don't actually have a really strong support unit, I think that Sylph may be your priority in this crossover and may be more of a number 1. But I'm putting Sylph at number 2 just because, I don't know, I just really don't like this unit. I don't like the kit. I don't like But it's just way too all over the place for me. Like, I understand that she's a defensive support, and I like that. I think that if she had a cleanse, I would like it a lot more. And yes, I know that she has a 5-star heal, so she can use Keratos. But why not just give her a cleanse? So yeah, I just really don't like what they did with her. But it doesn't mean that I think that she's bad. Well, in my opinion, I don't like her. But I need to be unbiased for a second. I don't think she's bad. On paper, believe that she's a pretty solid support. But in my mind, I'm just thinking like, my God, dude, I cannot stand this unit. Then my number one that I'm going to be putting from this crossover is Rudius. Now, Rudius, in my opinion, I think is just overall really good. I don't think he has too many weaknesses. He has a really strong passive as well, being able to give him 6 arts per second if he's not afflicted by stats, elements, and his HP is above 90%, so that's really strong. Not only that, he has magic resist and evasion in his kit, or lowering magic resist and evasion. You can hit pretty freaking hard if you're using a magic team. Not only that, he's able to work, and he's going to be a staple in mono earth teams, so overall, I think Rudius is just really, really solid. Not only that, he doesn't need to be used on a mono earth team if you don't want to use him on there. The only thing that benefits him from using him on the mono earth team is his true art buff, but you will still get benefits from just using him on other teams because like I said before, you're going to get 30% arts damage up no matter what to your entire team. Yeah, that is my list. Who I think is the greatest characters from Java's Reincarnation. And I'm already sick and tired of talking about this crossover. It's been 2 days. It's been 2 days. But guys, that's going to be it for this one, man. Thank you all for coming out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. Java's Reincarnation is coming out this Thursday, so we don't have too much longer to wait. And yeah, tell me down below if you're going to be going for any of these units, what your list would be, or whatever it might. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave. I don't know. Don't forget to drink water, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ, dude. What type of crossover did they release?